Founders, what's going on? You guys know I love in-person events, and they are back. The recording you're about to hear is from our most recent event where we had hundreds of founders come together, share intimate details, templates, KPIs, OKRs about their business, and it was something special, We'd love to meet you in person. If you want to see the next live events we have coming up via our schedule, the link will be down below in the description. If you're listening on iTunes, check this out on YouTube. You'll see the links in the description, or you can just Google Founder Path or Latka next event. We'd love to see you in person. In the meantime, though, enjoy this recording. It's a good one.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Who's from New York City? Very few. I'm 3 blocks down, and I was late. So good morning, everyone. My presentation today will be great. It's actually great to follow Henry, who does, $500 million with my measly $10 million. But I will take you through our company, our success story. Can you hear me okay? Okay, good. Anybody know what Bootstrap, what the term came from? Please.
Oh, no, I don't know where the term came from, but I don't know.
Anybody know Bootstrap? I looked it up. I'm not that smart. So Bootstrap, it's the little things on your boots that you kind of help pull your boots up. So back in the 18th, 19th century, it used to be called bootstrap, which means that can you lift yourself with your bootstrap, which is basically impossible. Can you imagine going down and lifting yourself with your bootstrap? It's impossible. In the 20th century, meaning today, it's making something out of nothing. Okay, so take a note. Mention it to your wife, you sound smart. So let me take you through my story here. Let me see if I can work this. Here we go. So the next 20 minutes, I'm going to go over a couple of things. Number one, three big moments in our journey. Everybody has their own war stories. I'll give you ours. The second thing is hitting the targets. How do we get to 10 million from zero, I guess? And then the three metrics, the three KPIs that we look at as a business that may help you down the road. Our growth, we started back in 2010, and it's a beautiful graph. It goes up, and hopefully will continue to do so. We're bootstrapped. We did not take any outside money, not from the banks, not from anyone. I own 100% of the company, and basically we started, and we had along the way some great successes and a lot of hiccups as well. The three big moments I'll take you through is, number one, idea to action. So how we come with the idea, it was actually a real napkin. Actually, there's a picture of the napkin right there. Let's see if I can go back. Okay. So what we do is we are a hub between the retailer, large department stores, Neiman, Marcus, Saks, Nordstrom, Macy's, and the brands and their suppliers. What we found the problem, an issue with the way they're communicating the sell-through between the retailers and the brands. And we solved that problem by allowing the brands to gain access to the sales data from the retailers. What we do is we collect the data, we cleanse the data, and then we populate it into a UI so you can see what's selling, what's not selling, and so on and so forth. The business has evolved since then. So we started back in 2010. Our first customer was Theory. Everybody knows Theory, that company, Theory, the jackets, suits, okay. Theory, still our customer, by the way. And the way we came to them is with not this, but we came with this. Let me show you, with this. We're gonna collect your data from the department stores you're in. We're gonna collect the data from your ERP system. We're gonna bring it into our database. We're gonna cleanse it. We're gonna match it, because there's a lot of matching with colors and so on and so forth. And then we're gonna give you a UI that you can actually see what's selling, what's not selling, by any combination of product attribute, which is season, color, size, time dimension, last week versus this week, as well as geographic location. So we came to Theory with this idea. There was nothing. There was no product. There was nothing out there. They had something they tried to do in-house, and we said, oh, we can build a much better mousetrap for you. And that's how we got started. This what happened. So Theory was our first customer. We moved on, and then what happened is that we actually developed a real dashboard that enables you to see key metrics on your business. So it goes through, I mean, it's basically click and go. You want to see your top retailers, you want to see your top styles, you can just click, you go in, and in sub-second response time, it gives you the information back. You can do it by time dimension, you can do it by geographic location, you can do it by product attributes. Okay, I think you get the idea. So this was all great. Now let's talk about the hiccups, okay? I mean, anyone here did not have issues starting a business? I'm sure most of you did not. So I'll share with ours. Our first churn was a small company called Tommy Hilfiger. Anybody knows them? Okay. Mr. Tommy came to us. He was a second customer after Theory. By the way, Theory, and I mentioned that to Nathan, did not have a contract. It was a handshake. We knew the owner, Andrew Rosen. We handshake. We knew me for years. He said, I'm just going to do it. So Nathan was saying, where's the contract? Where's the contract? I said, hey, Nathan, there's no contract. It was a handshake. G3 was actually the third customer, but Tommy was the second customer. We were so excited about Tommy, a huge customer. This is our second customer. Within 3 months, defunct. The data was wrong. The information was incorrect. They threw us out. You know, the tail, beneath our feet. We just walked out of that business. We just did a very, very poor job. That was our first big turn. And you have to remember, this is a small industry. Once you deal with a retailer or a brand and you don't succeed, everybody else knows. The second hiccup we had was Neiman Marcus. So think about this for a second. Just imagine you're collecting data from all these retailers, right? Nobody has agreement with you. The retailers do not know you're collecting this data on behalf of the brands. And all of a sudden, we get a call, we get a letter from Neiman Marcus, cease and desist. Okay, what's going on? They're saying you're collecting our sell-through numbers, you're giving it to the brands, we're doing that also. Why are they using you and paying you rather than use ours? The first thing, obviously, you can imagine, we had about maybe 4 or 5 customers, maybe 10 customers by then. And cease and desist, knocking off Neiman Marcus would be a big impact on our business. So luckily, 3 weeks before this love letter, I met with the CEO at the time. His name is Jim Gold. I did not meet him. He presented, and I was sitting all the way in the back somewhere. Not really shook his hand or anything. And he presented something about quality and integrity and yada, yada, yada. So I wrote him a letter. Remember those? Not an email, a letter. For those of you who remember how to write letters. So I wrote him a letter, and I sent it through the mail to him. And I told him, look, this is what we do. I heard your speech on the integrity and that your company has, and I was so excited, and we do the same thing in our business, yada, yada, yada. He did not know what to make of that letter. So he said, why don't we turn it to your, I called him up after that, follow up. Not once, not twice, 3 times, 4 times. On the 5th time, he picked up. And I told him, again, what we do and so on. And
Jay, real quick, can we spice, I'm to your left in the back. Can
sorry?
I spice this up for a second? How big was the season? I mean, did they threaten you? Like, how big was the lawsuit?
The lawsuit was basically, if you don't stop collecting data from us, we're gonna hit you with $1 million fine. $1 million for a company doing
that. That's my profit last month. I can handle it.
Yeah, well, not really. When we're doing $25 million in MRR, I'm not sure how we can afford it. So Neiman Marcus, Neiman Marcus was the the hiccup we had, but we turned that to an opportunity. After the conversation, he did not know exactly what we do. He didn't understand what we do, and he turned me to the CIO. Okay, so we had a conversation. Sarah, forget the last name. Sarah, we had a conversation with her. She said, "Okay, if you're collecting data and the brands are happy with it, why don't we sign an NDA with you?" I said, "NDA sounds good. Let's get the NDA on board." We got the NDA, we signed the NDA, we continued to collecting data from them. And then I said, wait a second, why don't we get together? I mean, you're in Dallas, we're in New York, it's only a plane away. We got together with them, we met with them, we had a conversation, a beautiful conversation, with a senior merchandising manager who's still in place right now, was a great friend of mine. And he, in the middle of the conversation, he said, why don't you just take all the distribution to our suppliers? I was like you, stunned. Take all the distribution to us. What am I going to do with all the distribution? And they know our model was all about the brands, not about the retailer. So he says, yeah, take the data distribution. We'll give it to you one feed, and you give it to all the others. I said, okay, exclusive. I mean, that was a little chutzpah on my part. He looked at me and said, you're from New York, aren't you? I said, yes, I am. It's a not exclusive. We have another vendor that does that, and they're doing a so-so job, but we want to bring another vendor, another supplier, another partner into the fold. So we said, okay, we'll take that. We put a program together. Some of it was freemium for those who just want Excel spreadsheet, weekly report of their sell-through. For others, we actually developed an app. Those are the premiums. Those are paying customers. Fast forward, from a problem, from a cease and desist letter, we developed an app for the retailer. Okay? And that resulted in an increase of about 54% in our MRR. You'll see it later on. Yeah. Because you have to remember, all the Neiman Marcus customers that want their sell-through data has to go through us or the other vendor. So initially it was 5% us, 95% them, 10%. Today, I'm happy to say we're actually managing 92% of Neiman Marcus vendors on our platform, okay? So that story actually evolved because then Saks Fifth Avenue heard about it, met with Mark Metrics, the CEO. We had one meeting, and that meeting he said, send me the contract. Have you ever had that before? That was by the way, that was my only time. So we got the contracts, and Saks Fifth Avenue is a completely exclusive opportunity. There's nobody else. There's no other mechanism to receive sell-through data. And not only that, they've taken the next step, which enables us again to grow, to get their buyers to look at the same app. So now you got the buyers and the sellers looking at the same application, which is an ideal in our world, right? You got both looking at the same thing, as opposed to Monday morning conversation back and forth. You have one platform for both. And that evolved into Bergdorf Goodman, and just 3 weeks ago, Saks Fifth signed up, Nordstrom, Bloomingdale, and so on and so on. You understand? So this is how our business evolved from a problem into an opportunity. So the first $1 million for us was an accident. We're just selling brands and continuing to move just to sell brands and multi-type retailer data sources. This is, by the way, our first sales forecast. Can anybody appreciate this? And a little note of paper, and okay, there's Maggie London, and it's stage 3, and stage 3 is a demo, and this is what we expect the recurring revenues to be, and SU stands for setup. We have a setup fee. By the way, can you see at the bottom of that page? Tommy? That was a sold account. So we sold it. That was number 4. That's a sale. That's a contract signed. And that 2 months later was my first churn that we discussed before. So that's what happened. Then, so what happened, as far as hitting revenue targets, initially it was chaos. I mean, I was out there selling. We had a technical guy work with me, two guys in a bag going and showing what we have. And a lot of it was PowerPoint, to be quite honest. We kind of evolved into 5 to 6 to 10 to 12 brands. In 2017, 18, we got into the retailer. Remember the Neiman Marcus story? Okay, this is where we started really pumping it up. And today, obviously, we are doing business for over 2,000 brands across the globe. So if you're familiar with the luxury company, any luxury company that sells into Saks, Bloomingdale's, Neiman Marcus, Nordstrom, most likely it's a customer of SkyPad because they have to get their sell-through through us. So this is how we evolved to grow, and we just signed Saks Fifth, another retailer, and we have about 5 more for this year. So every time we get a retailer, it's an uptick in revenue for us. This is the partnership that I think Nathan was saying to me. What about partnership? The partnerships. We don't have any other partnership beside the retailers. As long as we get a retailer, it's another $100,000 to $150,000 in MRR for us because all their brands come in, and they're the one funding the program. Today, obviously, from chaos to 5 salespeople, today the organization is much larger. We have a production and QA department. We have a whole group of customer service. We call them analyst squad. We have a sales team of 6 that actually manages all the sales. So we have account manager. We don't really call them salespeople. We call them program owners because we want them to own a program. We have somebody who owns the retail relationship. Somebody owns the enterprise accounts. Someone that owns the net new enterprise accounts. Someone that owns the singles, which is the brands that only want us to get data from Neiman Marcus or from Saks or from Selfridges in the UK. It doesn't make any difference which retailer. So you got the small brands, you got the big brands. Today, the brands that we do business with, obviously, are Michael Kors, Tory Burch, L'Oreal. I mean, I can continue on, but
Jay, before you go forward, I'm in front of you to your right.
Yes.
How much total headcount are the orange boxes? Like, what's the total headcount expense monthly on the orange boxes?
That's our sales team.
Yeah, I know. What's your total headcount expenses per month?
Per month, we're spending our cost on the sales and marketing right now is not that big.
A range is
it's
fine.
It's about 7% of revenues for
Okay.
us, a little bit less. And I'll tell you why. Because, again, when we land a retailer, when we sign a data distribution with a retailer, all their buyers become our salespeople. They go to the brands, they go to their suppliers and say, if you want to sell through data, you got to go through these guys at Sky. So we just signed Saks Fifth. That's a great, we don't need too many salespeople. Everything is online. You go on to the website, you log in, you put in the information, you put your credit card, and you're going. Enterprise is a different story. Enterprise is when we have a company like L'Oreal that has 25 retailers across the globe that we collect and cleanse and populate data for. So obviously they're paying a much bigger bill than billing, Henry. Much bigger bill than someone who's only using us for one retailer.
Jay, I just think this is impressive, right? You have $10 million revenue business. There's 5 people basically on the sales team. Most people at that same range have way more account managers. So, I mean, can you provide a little more detail? The account management team, are they on like a quota basis? And if so, what's like the general base and what's the general commission they earn if they hit the quota that you set?
Okay, so the account manager, the reason we don't have that many salespeople because you have to remember at this point, when you get to 10 million, you become a brand, okay? So people know us in the industry and people come to us. So we don't have to do the call calling and the heavy marketing that most of us have done for many years. So right now, we have more opportunities than we know what to do with, number one. So definitely need to add another 1 or 2 headcounts there. But I can assure you that we do not need a whole lot of salespeople because once we get a retailer on board, everything is automated. We automated the process of onboarding. Not the enterprise. Enterprise is a little more tricky. It takes us a couple of months to get them, and not because of us, more because of the customer. But on a single retailer, we can onboard almost online without even a call.
Jay, rapid fire here, and then I'll shut up. I promise. What is the quota you have for your account managers annually?
They need to do about $1 million in ARR.
And how much commission do you pay them if they hit that?
They would probably make about 150 to 175.
And is that about double what their base is?
It doubled their base, exactly.
So they could earn about $400,000 base plus commission with you. Okay,
Exactly.
I'll stop interrupting, but that's good.
No, that's cool.
Good comp
Actually,
data.
Yeah. By the way, another issue. We came from a reselling environment. We didn't know what SaaS. We couldn't even spell SaaS 12 years ago. I thought it was with one A. But having said that, as a system integrator, you actually, that's exactly what you do. You pay salary, and then if you make your quota, you make double, the income. I don't know, most of my salespeople never made that. I don't know why, but they never made that. But in the SaaS business that we're in, it's a little bit different. And the people are gonna do more than that this year. But we don't need too many. That's really, it's too many cooks in the one pot. So as I mentioned to you before, once we get the partnership going, we actually increased our MRR by 54%. So partnerships, if they add value to you, are really good things to do. They must add value to you. And by the way, our relationship with the retailers is amazing. We have quarterly calls with them. We come in with programs every time. We're very active. With the other vendor that I mentioned to you prior, with Neiman Marcus, they're not even talking to them. So if you're not talking to your customers, you're losing something. They're losing something. You're not going to get much ahead if you don't do that. During the pandemic, now you have to remember, we're in the retail space. Stores are closed. People are not going to the stores. Orders are being canceled or delayed. I thought I need to change profession, and dental school was one of the things I was thinking about, okay? So sitting there at home, we thought we're going to be out of business because retail is out of business. We're going to be out of business. Lo and behold, our churn, and by the way, this is funny. I was with Nathan about 4 or 5 years ago on one of those videos that he does, and he asked me about churn. I didn't even know what churn means because we didn't have much churn in our business. He said to me, how's your churn? I said, pretty good. Pretty good. I think we're doing all right. He said, give me, you know, Nathan.
I felt blood in the water, baby. I was coming for you.
Yeah, give me percentages. I said, 3%, 4%. I didn't even know what I was saying, Obviously, today, it's one of our biggest things. We're looking at churn because you get 2,000 customers, you scale up. You have over 2,000 brands. You feel when there's a churn. But our churn before the pandemic was 1%. Very, very sticky business, 1%. During the pandemic, we almost doubled to 1.8%.
Monthly churn.
Monthly.
Logo
Correct.
or revenue?
Correct. I'm sorry?
Logo or revenue?
Revenue. I don't even track logos. I really track by revenue. You know why? Because the revenue pays for the milk in the refrigerator. Logos is high fives, So during the pandemic, what we did is we befriended our brands. We said, listen, I know you're going through some hard times. Here's a couple of months of reduced rates. How else can we help you? We got a call from companies like LVMH and Kering, which is Gucci, Mucci, and all those guys. They said, how are you guys doing? So all of a sudden, this pandemic actually allowed us to see that we're essential to their business. So when there's bad news out there in retail, they want to know. The brands want to know. When there's good news, they want to know, but they're fat and happy. But bad news travels fast, and they want to know. So we continued. Our churn actually did not go a whole lot as we expected, and obviously I did not go to dental school as a result. The two other metrics that I wanted to share with you today is, and it's kind of an eyesore here, is the way we look at our business is we're looking at the last 3 months of the year. What are we booking in terms of enterprise accounts? It takes us about 2 to 3 months to get them on board. Whatever we're booking in the last 3 months of the year will actually result in billing in the first quarter of the following year. So it's very important to us to plan ahead, and we're looking at what we're booking so we can bill early next year. And the second matrix is taking a look at the first quarter of the year, where what are we booking in the first quarter of the year? And obviously, we give a lot of incentive to the salespeople during that period, the first quarter, because if we get the booking in the first quarter, most likely we will be billing that same year. That's the way we look at our metrics. And it's very important because that allows you to plan ahead, and also plan for resources, plan for technology, plan for expansion, for anything that you do. Those two metrics. So obviously everybody's looking at MRR, ARR, churn, CAC, and so on. These are the three that we're looking at as a business. So I just took you through 3 big moments in our lifespan, hitting the targets, how we hit those targets, and then we talked a little bit about 3 metrics that we are focusing on. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Jay Hakami, guys, give it up.